All right, have you heard about the new Podcast One app? There is no other podcast app like this! Exclamation point! Download the all-new Podcast One app now in the App Store or on Google Play now. You can find out everything about your favorite shows and get more content from my show. Find articles, social media, episodes, and even make playlists. It's easy to comment and connect with other fans, too. We have our own little community on there. You can share your favorite content and see behind-the-scenes photos. Plus, get a 360-degree video and watch a bunch of shows in virtual reality. There's over 1,000 videos on there right now! Exclamation point. It's like you're in the studio! No! Exclamation point. The new Podcast One app looks so cool and has so many little things you can do, including fun things like rewards for listening. So what are you waiting for? Download the new Podcast One app in the App Store or Google Play now! Exclamation point.
Now Podcast One brings you Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast Spike Ferriston, and recorded live from the porch of the famous Malibu kitchen. Now, here's Spike.
Thank you, Rich, the announcer. What a voice he has. I wish I could broadcast like that. It's Spike's Car Radio, Spike Ferriston sitting on the porch here at the Malibu kitchen. It's another lovely day out here. Let me put my finger up in the wind. And why it's 72 and sunny. 72 and sunny here in lovely Malibu, California. I've driven out my Range Rover Sport because I'm, I didn't get up on the right side of the bed this morning, and I took the wrong car. I had my GT3 in the garage, and instead I picked this Range Rover Sport, which I love, but it kind of ruined the drive. I've got a great show for you today. We've got Adam Ferrara. You may know him as the one of the three hosts from Top Gear USA, formerly on History. We're going to hear about what went right with that show, what went wrong with that show, how the whole thing works. I've got a million questions that I want to ask him about. Do they script stuff? Do they crash stuff? Have people perished? Have people died? My co-host today is Matt Farah from The Smoking Tire. Hello, Matt.
Hello, Spike.
It's always nice when you come out here. You know, you and I have breakfast out here a lot. We come out, we drink coffee, and then we hit the canyons. But you're frequently out here reviewing cars, right, or shooting your one-takes?
I am. This is like my end of evaluation tuna sandwich. You know, unlike Fast and the Furious, here at Bill's, everyone likes the tuna.
Oh, it's great.
Are you too old for that joke? Will our producer understands that joke because he's young enough.
I'm
to
pretending to
Fast
understand, but
it's a line from the Fast and the Furious.
I'm not going to.
Nobody likes the tuna.
I'm not going to laugh at it. And
Not
there's
here,
Bill walking up the ramp. He heard no one likes the tuna, and he's upset. My kids are really into the Fast and Furious movies now. I can hang. I get it. Hot girls, beautiful cars.
Right.
But I think I'm past the age where I can enjoy that.
They have lost me. I'll be honest. They had me at the beginning.
When the submarine came up through the ice, did they lose you?
They lost me at the Tokyo Drift one. And then they got me back at the fourth one.
Okay, now that's the one I did see.
Drift?
Yeah, and I liked it a lot.
Really?
Because of all the racing scenes inside the parking garage.
That's cool. It's not the only
drifting.
one. Yeah. I mean, but they've all had drifting.
I didn't know what I was watching until this moment. But
that was like they really capitalized on the drifting is cool.
Right.
And now, drifting is just part of the movie, but it's not so on the nose.
Do you drift? Do you like drifting?
Do you even drift? I can. I'm not particularly good at it, but it is one of the most fun things.
And what explain is to the people out there who don't know how to drift? What drives drifting? Is it the horsepower?
A couple things. You need rear-wheel drive.
Okay.
You need generally front engine, but you can go mid-engine or rear engine as well. But generally front engine, rear drive, a gearbox that you can control manually. Ideally, a third pedal.
Okay.
No automatics, although you could, in theory, drift with automatic, and a limited slip differential.
Wow.
Those are the things that you need, and also, like some level of skill. There's definitely Adam Ferrara.
Oh, there's Adam Ferrara now pulling up in a
rolling up heavy. Is that an Olds? It seems like
that's a LeSabre.
What
are we looking at?
I mean, it's large and in charge. It is big.
It looks like a city block. You hear it.
Sounds good.
On wheels. It appears to be purple.
Sounds good. I like it. It's got a Landau roof.
Is it a Buick LeSabre? Is that what that is?
I think it's a Buick. It's got the shield, the Buick shield.
Right. Well, look at this.
I'm embarrassed to say I don't know.
This is the first question I've ever asked you that you didn't know the answer to. First car question.
Of that era of vehicle,
It's tough.
the mid to late 70s, a lot of blending together of the GM brands, if I'm honest. There's not a whole lot of difference between a Buick and Olds. And if I saw like the front grille, I could probably tell you, but all I got was a 90-degree angle. So honestly, it's so weird doing this show on the porch.
Why?
Because there's just a lot of external influence.
There is.
In my studio, it's just like, it's a fairly sterile environment, and
well,
here
that's why you're bringing up something really important to me. We Instagram the hell out of our little breakfast here, and people always say, "Can I come driving with you? Can I come hang out with you?" And of course, the answer is no. You can't.
No,
you can't do that.
Why would you even?
I'm just here with my friends. Yeah, please stop messaging me. But I thought if I leave a chair open for those folks, we could export that experience to them, and they could be part of our little thing that we do here.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then I would have a safe distance, so no one would hurt me, or you for that matter.
We tell them about it later.
Right.
They find out. They come to this porch with us later.
So
when we're already gone.
So the ambiance and the cars, I hope people are enjoying that. I hope they feel like it and they close their eyes. And please don't close your eyes if you're driving right now. But if they close their eyes, maybe for a minute, they get a little bit of that cars and coffee experience that we have
I wish
here.
there were better cars coming around. We can't. Other than Adam's Buick or Pontiac or Oldsmobile, whatever it was.
Right. Well,
they'll tell us, I'm sure. But
on the weekends, all the car shows, the guys come here after the bills to have a little cup of coffee. During the week, this is all tourists. You're seeing a lot of tourist cars.
Well, when I come here to meet up with you and your friends,
yes.
I always have the worst car. Almost universally.
Why
Today,
are
I
you
have the best
judging?
car.
Why are you do? You have your Ford Mustang, the IRS.
It's very pretty.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
very pretty.
thing.
And I got her nice and early, so I got a good parking space.
Well, apparently Adam has parked. He was having trouble. He's walking up with his backpack right now. He was docking. I don't know where the hell he parked.
Deckhand.
That is a very, very big car. Here he comes up the ramp. He looks...
It's like a play-by-play.
He's looking where
What's
he's
up,
walking.
brother? We're rolling. We're live.
What kind of car is that?
It's a deuce and a quarter. It's not very descriptive.
70 deuce and a quarter.
Good to see you.
Buick Electra.
What's going on, man?
Spike
We're actually
Ferrara.
recording.
He's coming in. He's sitting down.
It's
We're gonna
part of the deal.
Check his audio levels.
How we doing?
How you doing?
There you go. You just have to stay close to the mic.
Good.
Live and well.
Good. How's that? Better? Perfect.
Perfection. Hi, it's nice to meet you. I don't think
too.
you and I have ever met before.
We haven't met.
never
Nice
met
to
Spike?
see you. I don't
No. I've seen him on TV. I've seen
I
him
have
in the
not
show.
met you, and now we are in
Spike
a parking
was like,
lot.
come on the show.
Here we
Adam's
are.
going to be here. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
We haven't hung out in a long time.
Where
I
did you
haven't
guys
seen
meet?
in years. I met you.
The first USA. The first time.
yeah, the
USA.
first at the Marine base. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I knew you from Smoking Tire.
And you asked me about my back, which is like for someone who has never really. We've never really hung out.
No.
That's like that's a really nice thing for you to ask about. For you
I
to
know
remember and then
Yeah.
to ask about.
Wow.
But where did you?
Genuine person.
So he was shooting an episode of the show, and
The
you showed up.
first episode.
The first
of Top
episode,
Gear USA.
he came. Matt came down, and we were walking around the motor pool and just talking, and that was it. But you see each other on Twitter and stuff.
You were at the first episode of the Grand Tour as well,
Yeah,
right?
I
So
was.
you're just showing up.
I actually didn't
I don't
like it at
recall
all.
seeing you.
No?
No, I didn't like it at all.
You didn't like
Were
the
you
show?
in the desert with all the cars?
Not when they were shooting that big intro sequence.
Right.
I was thankfully spared that.
Right.
I heard that was pretty brutal.
Well,
I mean-
after 6 years in the desert, if
Yeah.
I don't have to go, I'm not going.
No, I was at the studio, the indoor one.
Yeah.
And it was nice of them to invite me. And
Yeah,
Richard
sure.
Porter invited me, and I do it.
Oh, how's he doing? I
I
haven't
love
seen
Richard
Porter. Isn't he a
Porter.
sweetheart?
Richard Porter, Sniff Petrol on Twitter.
don't.
Yeah.
Just a genius,
Nice
and
man.
hilarious, and a nice guy. But it was tough to see those guys. They didn't have a lot of their IP. The BBC
Right.
owns a lot of their stuff.
Yeah.
And they had to imagine you're wearing the Who shirt right now. Imagine you went to a Who concert. Sort of late in their careers.
No Keith Moon? I'm not going.
But they couldn't play. Imagine they couldn't play any of their songs.
I've gone
Oh,
through.
okay.
I've
That's
gone
what it
through
was.
this exact
that's
thing.
pretty good.
It's like seeing a great band that can't do any of their material.
So
When
what couldn't they do?
Well, when I was on Letterman at NBC and we moved to CBS, there's intellectual property. You
Yeah.
couldn't do viewer mail.
Yeah, you can't take the bits with you.
You can't take the
That's
bits.
funny.
The top 10, I think, is the only one. Dave said, "No, I don't care. You can sue me.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the top 10." But it's that anything that's created while the people are being paid by the network, it belongs to the network.
And
I think that started with the Medici.
Yes, exactly.
It was
We're keeping the
everything.
paintings. We're keeping them. We're keeping them all.
But it was
Statues, everything.
Everything
Pray
from
somewhere else.
What?
James May couldn't say cock. You know, that's a thing. They own
What?
They own that.
What do you mean?
Jeremy
They own-
Clarkson can't say power. That's a thing. That
Wait,
Top
hold
Gear
on. What do you mean?
owns. Yeah.
Top Gear owns the word
His
cock,
the catchphrases. Catchphrases.
but
uttered
cock
by
is not a
hosts.
catchphrase.
It is when James May says it.
What
It
if
is.
what,
Really?
what if he's using it as a noun?
There might
Can
be exceptions.
can he urinate with
But,
his
you know,
cock?
also
Can
the
are there
con-
things?
And the concept of the silent racing driver.
Yeah.
You know, they couldn't have that, and so they went the other way with it, and they got a racing driver who doesn't shut the fuck up.
It's funny.
You know, and it went. Can I drop F-bombs?
You
on
can
this
say
show?
whatever you like.
Great.
You just
And
did.
I
We're just
did.
sitting at a table in Malibu.
Don't say cock.
So they kind of. You know,
Unless you want to pay.
I mean, I don't know if you can point because there's no video.
Well, here, let's talk about Adam. I want to hear
ahead.
about how you get involved. Now, before you get involved with Top Gear,
Yeah.
you're an actor and a comedian, or
Yeah.
a comedian and not an actor. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
I was
And-
on a show called Rescue Me. I was a stand-up, and I was an actor. So I was on Rescue Me, and I had we were doing the Rescue Me comedy tour. So we're on a tour bus, and Dennis pulled me and Lenny Clark aside and goes, "Listen, what do you guys think about doing 9 more episodes and just shooting this thing in the head?" And we went, "No." I don't have Ice Age money, you skinny fuck. Yeah. So he laughed, and I think we did about 18. We shot 18 straight, and then they whacked it up into 2 seasons. And so, it's this business. Time to, what's the next thing?
Right.
So I had done a car show for History. I did a pilot for them that I really liked that they didn't pick up.
What was that show?
It was called The United States of Cars. Basically, I told the history of times in American history through the point of view of cars and who
That's
drove
cool.
them. Yeah,
I don't
it
know.
looked good on paper, man.
I don't
By the
watch
way, I'm
that
gonna buy
show.
that
It was
right
a good
now.
show.
I drove.
I'm gonna
It was
make you
great because
host it.
I got a 69 Bug and I got a 69 GTO. No, a
Okay.
70 GTO. So I got those two cultures and everything. So
Right.
we shot the pilot. It was pretty good. They didn't pick it up, but they liked me, and they said, we have the rights to Top Gear. We're going to do an American Top Gear. And my first words were, "Don't screw it up."
Right.
It's a perfect show. I love
People
the
on the
show.
other side were saying that too.
Yeah, don't screw it up. I said, "Don't screw
We're
it up."
still saying that, by the
Yeah.
way, but go ahead.
So I was sitting in the room, and they said, "We want you to meet the producers." And I said, "We want you to be in." I'm like, "I don't want to screw it up. Don't put this on me." I said, "I have no interest in reading for the part of Clarkson." She goes, No, we don't want that. We want you guys in that context to be yourselves. So just being a fan of the show, to meet the guys that produce it,
Right.
how do you not take the meeting?
of course.
So, and it was the weirdest meeting I ever had, Spike. It wasn't like you go to a studio, you go to a producer's office, say hello to. No, go to this church parking lot, look for an Evo and no cops. Like it was a ransom drop.
Seriously,
Yeah.
go to a church parking
We
lot.
went to a
look
church
for an
parking lot
Evo.
and we found it was an Evo 9, I think. And there was Tanner and Rutt and a bunch of English guys with cameras. And
That's hilarious.
we just started messing around. And we got in a car and we started doing donuts. And then I remember we found.
So it sounds like it's a chemistry test at
Yeah,
that
that's
point.
pretty much what it was. We
And did
thrown
they
a
have
bunch of stuff
cameras
on the
up?
wall. Yeah, we had cameras up. And I went back like 3 or 4 times.
And you were cool with them just shooting you right away without any
I
sort of
didn't
release?
like.
or
What are you going to do? I was like, all right. I guess this is what
Cars
it is.
and
Is there
cameras and
lunch?
cool guys.
Do I get
So at
lunch?
that point-
Spike's very Hollywood. He'd be like, "Let me get my agent in on this." And
Well, not very Hollywood. I work in the entertainment
Yeah.
industry. Yes,
What
I'm
are you
used to being protected by people. So,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to
The
catch
rest
up.
of
So
us
if they
see
have
shiny objects.
if they have
Yeah.
Rutledge and they have Tanner at that point, they've already cast 2 of the parts.
I think they did because I never.
So they were looking for a
I
third at
never
this
went
point.
back and read with anybody else. They were with a bunch of people, so I think they were pretty much sold on them when I entered the picture.
Right.
But I went back 3 times. This was like November.
I did
And,
the Adam Carolla pilot before
yeah.
that. Where it was
Right.
Adam, Tanner, and then it was maybe me, but Eric Stromer. Remember him?
Yeah.
He was like a home and garden TV guy. Did it
So-
first.
Yeah.
So after this meeting, they give you the show. They
No. After this meeting, we go back. We found a couch. I remember
Right.
there was an old couch, and I said, "Hey, you with the beard, sit on the couch. Let's see how close the race guy can get to you before you chicken out." And he's like, "I don't know if I want to do this. Don't be." And we started arguing right there.
Uh-huh.
And they said, "All right, cut." Some English guy said, "All right, I guess he didn't like that." Thank you, my friend. Just cream, please. Thank you.
He's got a little cup of coffee
I can't
here.
say coffee. It's owned by Dr. Who.
You can say scrotum as much as you want. Nobody owns that right
you
now.
can. So then I went back, and then we did the news, and it was a process. And after about 6-8 months, then they finally called up and said, "Do you want the show?" And at this point, I went, "What show? You know how long it's been?"
Yeah, 6-8 months.
So what?
yes.
We've heard a lot. Both Matt and I have friends who've auditioned for this new version of Top Gear, and then the contract comes around, and you see what you're getting paid. Were they paying you real money in the beginning on that show?
They never pay what you. They were giving us enough to do the show,
Right, but did it compare to Rescue Me money?
It's different. It's basic cable. This is standard cable, and
Right.
FX was premium cable. So it was. Look, I did the show.
Premium cable.
You did
Spike.
it because of Cars.
I did it because I liked the guys.
You liked the
I
guys,
did it. I'll be
right.
honest with you. I'm like, all right, we got 10 episodes. We were all fans of the show, so we
Right,
were
right.
all like, hey, I don't want to. We're not doing it in imitations, and we banged heads a lot with the producers. Thank you, my friend. We banged heads a lot with the producers because, we're not doing that.
Right.
It must have been tough in the beginning because they wanted to. It ended
They-
up
well, they know
happening.
what
They
they
wanted
want.
to recycle some British
They wanted to protect
bits.
the brand, and they wanted to do that. And Richard Porter was actually there, and he was very, very sympathetic to what we wanted. And I didn't say a lot. I remember once I forget who the suit was, but we were doing studio, and they said, "I need you to say this." I go, "Hey, take my mole." Ain't coming out of my mouth.
He has a mole on
So,
his right
yeah.
cheek that he's referencing.
But we found a show. I
Is
will
that
tell
a
you this.
common joke area for you? Your own mole?
What? Well, Rutledge named me that. We always threatened to do a podcast because we lived together when we shot
Right.
the show. We had every meal together.
Yes.
Breakfast at the hotel or in the truck, lunch on set, and then we all had dinner together. So we were pretty much a
Are
family.
those real glasses, or is he just
No,
doing that
they're
to
real.
look smart?
Everything is
they're
real.
Okay.
So we're all like a band of idiots. It's not like we're that brilliant actors. We can create that. That's us.
You know what I wanted to ask you, because I don't think a lot of people know how scripted a show like that is. Like when
We didn't have money for lunch. You want money for a script? I jumped that caddy. People go, "Do
Come
you have a
on.
stunt guy?" I go, "Nope, we don't have. we
there
don't have
are
money for lunch."
scripts.
That was all
There
me.
are scripts. So
There are talking points and information about the cars.
but aren't episodes fully scripted out?
No,
As far as here's where we're
bullet points
starting.
of what we're going to do.
What we're gonna do,
We end up
right.
look, no one scripted. Listen, for 6 years, the running joke is punch each other in the nuts. I can honestly say that didn't come out of a writer's head.
If it
But
did, he
but
was
but
overpaid.
here's what I'm trying to here's what I'm trying to get
Well
at.
done.
So
Point Ferrara.
when you do get a script, the first you hear about stuff, or are they just
Yeah.
saying, "Here, show up tomorrow on this hill with
what
this
we
truck"?
did, in the very beginning because
I've seen these scripts. They seem to be like
they
a
look
page
like little-
divided out,
and then
in
it's
half.
like this happens, and they say this, and we
right?
I don't know who
so,
these
well,
people are.
that's
but
the
we're not
question.
saying
Is
that.
there like a run through or a read through ahead of
No.
that for you guys to
we
chime
get
in on
like
stuff? or?
this happens, this happens, this happens, and after the first. I think after the first year was very they were like because no one knew what was going on.
Right.
After we did the Alaska episode and we were in Alaska
With
for
the trucks,
6 days
right?
with the
The
truck,
truck, yeah.
that's when we found the show.
The trucks
and
were
after
fun.
that we went, you can send them. We ain't gonna read them.
Well, after that, didn't you sort of throw the studio away entirely?
Yeah, that's when
and
everything
that's
went
just
away.
Adventure films.
Studio went away, and that's
Yeah.
what it became because that's what our energy dictated the show wanted to be in
Yeah.
that context. So and I applaud John Hessling, our executive producer at the time, said, "Yeah, we're going to get rid of it. It's not."
Were you
a
ever-
good idea because it's the studio.
Well, here's the
tough,
other thing we
man.
found out, Matt. Was we have to tell the story in 44 minutes.
Right.
BBC, it's government sponsored. It could be an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You can do all. We couldn't tell the stories in 44 minutes, and that's what the audience on History responded to.
Were you
So-
ever coming up with ideas for stories?
Oh yeah. I remember sitting in a room once, season 1, and I'm like, I said, I want to put guns on cars and play Atari Tank Battle. And Hessling went,
Genius.
brilliant.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized there's no adult in the room.
The best thing about
Wow.
Top Gear
That's
is
fun.
the word "yes" is used frequently.
Yeah.
Really?
Ideas can become
Yeah.
yes.
Some of them are a fight. It took me 5 years to get a hearse that I made into a mail truck and put an air gun in to shoot mail into
I
someone's.
mean, that's good.
Yeah,
But
so
is it
took me
like-
5 years to get a hearse?
You know-
It took me 2 years to get the '87 Grand National, but I did. Blew the head gasket on it, but
That's
I got
a beautiful car. We had that
Yeah.
on a car match figure. Do you ever get, though, like in the early days of comedy when you're doing late night, there
Yeah.
aren't many shows. Now there are a lot of car shows.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
there are a lot of pitches where like, oh, we can't do that because so-and-so
What,
did
for
it
a
on
car
the-"
show?
Yeah, these...
No, when I did the History show, there wasn't a lot. There was Top Gear. There wasn't anything.
Well, there
on
were
American
Top Gears in
television.
every country.
Yeah, but it wasn't really here. You
Right.
had to see it on the internet. And I hear Top Gear North Korea's not doing it.
I don't know. Have you watched it?
You know, Kim Jong-un says it's rated very
Yes.
highly, and Donald Trump has repeated that.
They've got
I know.
this
and
wonderful
has the
segment with
fastest time on all tracks.
and poison
But-
gel touching drivers and
Yeah.
dying of heart
so
attacks.
there wasn't a lot of lot of content in the space when we started.
So have you always been a car guy? I mean,
I always loved.
Where did you grow up? You grew up in Long Island?
But I have an emotional attachment. That's why I got that old Buick.
Yeah,
from my dad. My dad.
Was that your dad's actual
No.
vehicle?
My grandfather had that car when I was a kid, and I remember the side molding, that big side molding.
Right.
And I remember as a kid having that car, and that came from the show.
I thought I was going to say, was that
that was the piano car. The radio broke, so I put a grand piano on the roof with a driver, so he could play me music while I drove.
And then what do you call that color? What color?
That color it is now?
Yeah.
That's black cherry metallic.
Black cherry metallic.
Yeah.
It makes quite an entrance.
Oh, yeah. It's black cherry metallic.
lovely.
MagnaFlow split the exhaust for me. It's got the big block in it. I smoke the windows, and I drive around Santa Monica. I play Parliament Funkadelic, and I scare white people.
Is that your everydayer right now?
Mm-hmm. When I can. I don't take it where someone's got to valet it and parking it. I mean, that's 18 feet 5 inches. I went around and I passed it. I parked it in Burbank and walked.
He needs yacht parking for
it.
It does remind you of being a kid, though, right? Because I grew up in a blue-collar town with those cars. When I get back into them now, I feel young
I think
again.
of my dad, and that's how I got connected to him. My father had that ability. He could fix anything.
Oh, really?
The carburetor's gone.
Was he a mechanic?
No, but he was a mechanical ability. He could fix anything. He'd just look at it, and he had that
He had the mentality
statement.
of fixing shit.
Wow.
And we learned very quickly my mechanical ability. My job was to hold the light.
I fetched tools.
Yeah, that was.
I knew what.
I can gap a spark plug with a matchbook. I can smack the solenoid to get the starter to click over, change your oil. After that, I'm done. Yeah. Now you should, with the reflashing and the ECUs, you should just pick up the hood and it should be just a sign. Call the guy.
Yeah.
Just call the guy.
I can diagnose it from my phone.
Yeah.
A little Bluetooth dongle and shit.
I can call an Uber.
Yeah.
All right, we got to take a little break. We'll be back in a minute with more from Adam Ferrara. You know, there's something about TrueCar a lot of people don't know. Using TrueCar can also help you buy a used car. In fact, there are over 700,000 pre-owned vehicles, that's used cars, available from TrueCar certified dealers nationwide. Whether you're looking to buy new or used, you can get upfront pricing information that empowers, discounts off the list price for used cars, and a better buying experience through the TrueCar certified dealer network. There are over 700,000 pre-owned vehicles available from TrueCar certified dealers nationwide. You'll see what other people paid for the car you want, so you can know what a fair price is and feel confident. With TrueCar, you can connect with a local certified dealer of your choosing, so you can enjoy a quick, easy buying experience. Using TrueCar, you can easily find the new or used car you want. When you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Some features not available in all states, and I'm not going to tell you which states and which features. That's not my job.
Podcast One has a whole bunch of awesome new shows filled with big names that are waiting for you on our brand new, amazing app. This one's a game changer. There's Norman Lear talking to Amy Poehler, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and Charles Barkley. Geffen Playhouse Unscripted with Bryan Cranston, Josh Gad, and soon Neil Patrick Harris. Nice. OC Real Housewife Heather Dubrow's World. Lady Gang's Three Mimosa Podcast with Leah Michelle, Nelly Furtado, Elle King, and more. Plus every episode of The Adam Carolla Show, Dan Patrick, and Rich Eisen. And if you like what happens in the ring, we've got Steve Austin, Chris Jericho, Chael Sonnen, and a whole bunch more. So download our one-of-a-kind new app and see for yourself. Go to the App Store, Google Play, or download it now at podcastone.com. You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
All right, we're back with Adam Ferrara and Matt Farrer from the Smoking Tire. What is this talk of a Ferrari rolling a Ferrari what?
That's the last time I saw you.
Adam's missus has
had an F430.
A delightful little red
You let her sell that? Why?
Well,
did she come to you that way?
I said, honey,
this
look,
girl?
we got a choice. You want a house or we living in a car? The friggin' oil change on that was like $2,600.
Yeah.
You gotta pull the thing to change the oil and stuff. It's a magnificent machine.
Yeah.
Are there any modern classic Ferraris that aren't nightmares for maintenance? Like you wanted to buy the 360, right?
458s are lovely, and they're extraordinarily reliable.
Right. The
328
328 too.
But it's slow. If you want a Ferrari,
yeah, but
you want a fast
you're
car.
rolling that.
I did
Magnum
188 in the F12 Berlinetta.
How nice is the F12?
Wow.
F12s are good.
Where did you do 188?
On a causeway in Utah.
Yeah.
And
so
It's
an
also
illegal
a good, real good
188.
place to speed.
But it's not like runway smooth, so you get that.
Yeah.
And I've never gone 200 miles an hour. And that's
No,
that's
never?
a 212 mile an hour car, and I've never.
You
Now
got to find a way you can do 200.
I did. I
Still
tried. I hit the brake cone in a Superleggera on the runway.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 202 mile an hour car.
Yeah.
and that was like $1.80.
Don't you think 160 is the last reasonable speed for a car?
140, I find, is where everything starts getting light.
Where you get the lift.
See, that's
Yeah,
160 for me.
Yeah.
That's where I start to get a little sleepy and stuff starts to vibrate. And I just want to take a nap.
Dead relatives are trying to warn you.
Well, I just wonder where I am. I start wondering where I am because I did that.
You're close to death, Spike.
In a Carrera GT, in a 2004 Carrera GT, and
GT is hairy.
a runway in Berlin, in East
That's
Berlin,
hairy.
and it was in the rain, and that I got sleepy. I'll be honest with you over
those edges, and it gets like I did 183 on the Autobahn on an open road.
Yeah, that's
and they're like,
Autobahn's
we need to do it again for the I had to do it twice because I had to do it again for the
exterior shot, right?
The interior, on the speedometer.
We need the speedo shot.
Yeah, we need the speedo
do
shot.
it again. It's brilliant.
Okay, this is my job.
The Autobahn, but how civilized is the Autobahn? I mean,
it's silly, but it's a little ridiculous only because it's 2 lanes. The Hurricane just came out, so Lamborghini gave me the Hurricane.
They're great.
And you know what they fixed on it that I love? They made the pedal box, the dead man pedal, that's bigger now.
Yeah.
So my left ball isn't square.
Yeah.
And they fixed the paddle, the directional stalk. Now I was hitting it with the paddle. It's
all
now
the
a
time.
thumb switch on it.
You're not hitting the blinker
No,
anymore.
now it's on the thumb.
Blinkers and horn issues.
On the wheel.
It's like a motorcycle switch.
Yeah.
Now on the steering wheel.
And,
Actually, I kind of
and
did.
the launch control is so much more civil. I hit the launch control of the Superleggera. I thought I dropped the transmission and lost a
'cause
kidney.
It kicks you super hard. Yeah.
Kicks you like your father found your dope. Just what are you doing in my house?
Wow.
Boom.
I actually blew the front diff in an Aventador by launching it a few times. Lamborghini was none too.
Yeah, well, it was a little warm before you got it.
Are you going to get in trouble for that? Will they?
No, this happened 2 years ago.
Who do you think? Which car manufacturer punishes the most? Do you think?
Well, it's
Ferrari's
not
not forgiving.
Yeah, Ferrari. They all will just, if they're upset, they'll just stop returning your calls. There's no punishment. They'll just vanish.
They just vanish. They just
Ferrari's
disappear.
very tough. But
Screaming
the 488,
silence.
though, have you had a 488?
488
yet?
is the best.
No, I
That
haven't.
is
Yeah?
the best.
Cool.
The best.
No,
Yeah.
So
I'm making a list.
The Ferrari as a company could have almost any transgression that I would forgive because the 488 is so good.
It's a dream, that car.
McLaren,
been
of
there
the
yet.
supercars, McLaren is the best to deal with.
Yeah,
'Cause
but
they're,
as far as
you
a
know,
company,
yeah.
and Frank, and I'm blanking on Frank's last name, but the guy that designed the MP412C did the F430.
Frank Stevenson. He was just here a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
He came for the launch of the podcast.
That's great.
He just showed up.
I
down
met
here.
him at the
he
McLaren.
showed up with a P1, and someone said, "This is Frank Stevenson." And I go, "I'm not sure who he is." He goes, "He designed that car."
See that car?
And then he took me around the P1 and showed me, "This is why we did this." You know, a magical 10 minutes of my life. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, they all go to Pasadena.
Yeah, they all go to Art Center.
Yeah.
You ever hung out there?
I have not.
It's really, the students there are shockingly brilliant.
Cool.
I mean, just watching
But
them
what
work,
are they making?
They're
that we've
designing
seen?
cars.
They are?
Yeah, they design. I mean,
What have they designed that I
they
know?
work on concepts in school, but then
Right.
they go on.
It's not just flying cars like my kids are
brand new
making.
NSX. A girl graduated from Art Center, and 3 years later, she designed the new
Really?
NSX that is out now. Yeah, crazy. These kids are brilliant.
I've done nothing with my life.
What are you doing
I have
with your life
56
right now?
notebooks full of dick jokes.
So Top Gear's off the air.
That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Let's talk more about Top Gear because
Yes.
Top Gear
It
USA
was
is off
fun.
the air.
I will tell you, one of the best. I've made friends, and the one thing that really I'm not proud of, but we're just pleased that we were able to communicate to people was we got a tweet once, and we had it framed in the office. There was a single mother that says, "Listen, I'm a single mother of a 13-year-old boy. This is the only time we sit down together is to watch your show, and I really pray that my son gets to make friends and have a friendship like you guys have." I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna cry. What the? Oh, lady, can't we just talk about cars? What are you doing?" And that we all three of us were just very pleased to be able to communicate that to people.
Adam
'Cause
Levine
that's
got
what
the
I
same
out of
letter on the
English show.
voice.
That's
What?
kind of the
Adam
point.
Levine got the same letter on the voice. It's
Yeah, it just
don't
it's
you
just
find
like-
that TV fans are TV fans for lots of different shows?
Well, I'm sure whatever speaks
Not
to
to
them.
ruin your moment.
No, but whatever speaks to someone and where they can get a connection with someone.
Right. What's the stuff that we didn't hear about on Top Gear USA? Like, was there ever like a funny moment that they cut out or a crash?
A lot of shit they cut out.
Like what? Tell me,
I'm
what's
trying
the
to
thing
think,
on the
what
show
did
that you
cut out?
loved that was taken out that you wish had remained in?
Oh, they would. Well, when we first had a set of time travel for the time travel.
Wow.
When we first had a set,
When we
got that
You
DeLorean,
know,
go
we're
back
like,
in
I don't
time.
think we can air this.
we
guys.
didn't know the DeLorean actually did work till we hit 88 miles miles an hour. And then we're back.
That's a great
And we're
segment.
sitting with John DeLorean going, look, is it cocaine to save the company or you just like it? I don't think the hood ornament should be a spoon, John.
Whole car is rather
No,
spoon-like.
so one of the things we did, we were sitting, we had to set a time for the lap before the celebrities came on. So we're in a creative meeting, and I go, listen, it's the History Channel. Let's dress up Hitler. Put him on a lap, and then when I do the interviews, I can say, so do you think you're faster than Hitler? Silence. Just silence. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't.
I love that idea.
That's actually funny.
I go, we're on the History Channel. Have you seen it? They keep rerunning it. We win. It's fine.
Then you have to
celebrity.
cast Hitler, which is always the problem with
Yeah.
that segment. Bringing in a bunch of Hitlers.
Yeah.
And, he's not going to look exactly like Hitler.
Yeah.
This guy who played the Soup Nazi could have done a Hitler, Larry
Yeah.
Thomas.
Oh,
he might have been a
definitely
nice
could've.
Hitler.
I'll tell you one. I ended up putting the joke in my act, but I liked it. I was doing the SLS AMG when it came out, and the gull wing doors, and I said, if you got to open both doors at the same time. If you only open up one gull wing door on a German car, you're basically doing this. And who wants to
Again
start
with
that shit again?
The Hitler joke.
Yeah.
He just did a Heil Hitler.
And everyone later went, we can't do. Maybe we shouldn't compare the car to a Nazi.
Why do you think Hitler comes up so much in comedy and continues to after all these
I know
years?
on the History Channel, I was like, well, that's where we are.
Yeah.
But it's not just History Channel. It's comedians throughout the years.
I got it from Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks, right.
I got it
Yeah.
from Mel Brooks. And when I read, I forget what I read about Mel Brooks, but and Pryor said this too, and that's what became, I write what scares the hell out of me. I want to diffuse I want to take the fangs out of the monster.
Right.
So whatever scares the shit out of me is what I'm going to write about. Face your fear and laugh at it. And that always stuck with me.
Wow.
I just saw that in I just watched a documentary. It's like, jeez, I'm gonna blank on it now. This documentary just came out. It's on Netflix right now. It's comedians. Seinfeld's in it. It's like about the depression of comedians. Like,
Oh, right.
what's it called? Like laugh till you're dying or something like
Yeah.
that. God damn it. Well,
That's a good title. Let's just say
great-
it's Laugh Until You
great
Die.
bit I'm doing here.
Don't let the facts confuse
Do that
you.
bit
There's
about
a-
the guy forgetting things on Netflix.
Yeah,
That's my favorite bit.
There's a basically version of that.
Yeah,
at the
but
end.
basically, when I read that, because I was a kid when the comedy albums when I was a kid, that was the prized possession.
Right.
It was comedy albums. It was the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue with the mesh.
Right.
You're like, this is what I need in
and
case
then
the
Eddie
world
Murphy
blows
with
up.
the red leather.
Eddie Murphy with red leather, and it was all Pryor, a lot of Carlin, and a 2,000-year-old man. It seemed older to me, but I could appreciate it made me laugh, and it made me want to. And then Blazing Saddles, when the older kids
Yeah.
would show you those, you're like, hey, look at them, wow. So I just was profoundly moved by that, and I saw Pryor when I was 12 years old. We went to one of those parties, when you go with your parents, you
Yeah.
get the warning in the car. Your mother leans over, is like, now your father does business with these people. Don't behave like an animal. So they were all watching Pryor at the Santa Monica concert, and they went in the next room to have coffee, and I snuck in, rewound the tape, and fellas, it blew my head off. I remember saying out loud, look what this man can do.
Yeah.
He didn't even have a friggin' intro. He just walked up and grabbed the
is
mic.
This the one where like
when Patti
people are
LaBelle
just
opened for him.
Yeah, and
just
people are
walking
kind of
around.
filing in.
Yeah. And
he's
he
like,
just picks
all
up
these
the
white
mic.
people still still getting the
The
drinks.
black people stole his seats. That was just, and he just started talking. And I was just captivated by what he could do. The black guy walking through the woods, the white guy walking through the woods. He's not saying a word, and I'm staring at the TV. So I was profoundly moved by that. I didn't realize I wanted to be a comedian, but I knew something got my attention for the first time.
Right.
So, and that always stuck with me.
What was your first on stage experience like?
July 13th, 1988 was Eastside Comedy Club, Long Island. It's now a Pomodoro restaurant.
Oh,
It was a Wednesday night open mic concert.
Pomodoro,
Yeah.
like the one in New York on the Upper West Side?
Nah, this is a shithole.
Different Pomodoro.
Yeah, it is
We used
a
to call that
shithole.
the breakup restaurant.
Yeah.
And you killed, right?
Is that
the
it?
first time you went up?
I did because
No, you didn't.
I did. And I'll
Really?
tell you why. I made the mistake of telling my mother, and she told the whole neighborhood. Because I grew up in one of those neighborhoods where everyone knew everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Your aunt
great.
ran the deli, and it was, and I had to get on a train, get on a Long Island Railroad, go to another town to buy condoms and cigarettes because everyone knew each other.
Oh my
So I
gosh.
couldn't,
That's so sweet.
So-
and then, but what happens now the first time you go and you perform comedy without your mom's
Everyone is
gang?
there, and so I didn't do any material. I just started making fun of them, and they all laughed because it was like my house.
Right.
Yeah, it's
And
like
I'm
a Thanksgiving dinner
yeah.
show.
So what's the first show after no mom and no friends?
I got a call because my first.
Because
agent
you're
happened
like,
to
now
be
you're on
nice.
cloud nine. Now you're like,
Yeah.
I am one of the
you
greatest.
don't know
natu-
anything,
Right.
It's the cherry,
and then
high.
you walk into a club without your mom.
Yeah.
And what happens?
Without everybody. I got a call the next day from the agent, Tom and Jenny at Omnipop. Says, are you open no, and I didn't know what that
you
meant.
open?
And I went,
What does it mean?
I went, yeah, you want to go bowling or something? I'm like, I just met this guy. I don't know what the hell it means.
I've done one show.
He's like, yeah. So I'm playing it cool.
You should have heard the audience, though. They were going nuts.
I got to check. When? I don't know what I'm saying. He's like, tomorrow night, I'll give you $20. Just go do 5 minutes at Sand City.
Come on.
I said,
You're getting paid on your second gig?
$20 for do 5 minutes at
But
a bar.
still, you're getting money
I
to do
don't know
comedy.
this is not supposed to happen.
This is outrageous.
I
I've never
don't
heard
know
this
it's not
story
supposed
before.
to happen, Spike. So I went there. I got $20. I did the set.
Did people laugh?
Don't remember. I took the $20 I got out before they realized I soaked them for 20 beans.
That's incredible.
I gave it to my mother. She pressed it in a book, and I was off.
And then you're just, how do you get to the next club?
Because I figured out, okay, I put 2 and 2 together. Open mics.
Right.
I made a list of the clubs. Open mic. I went and I just haunted open mics.
And how long before you're getting traction where you can actually support yourself doing comedy?
I was very fortunate because of the climate. The terrain at the time was 1988 when I started. So television producers found out. Well, actually, bar owners found out it was cheap to produce.
Right.
Like, wait a minute. We
don't have to have huge drum
there's
sets.
no drum sets.
And
There's
crazy
no.
lighting
And people want to
effects.
see this. I can turn. Sometimes I walked into clubs in Connecticut. I found this booker that trusted me. I was funny enough, and he trusted me to pick up his cash. And I had a car. You know why I worked? I had a car.
I've heard that.
What
story
kind of
from
car
a bunch
was
of
this?
comics.
I had an 85 Ford Thunderbird Turbo Coupe.
Oh, there you
Which
go.
I bought for my brother, and he overcharged me. But that's the car I had. So I had a car, and I was responsible. So I would go into the city and pick up the headliners at 44th and 10th, the old Improv.
Wow.
And I'd pick up the headliners and drive them to these shit gigs in Connecticut.
That's awesome.
And
Don't you want to find another one of those now?
I would come back, and I would always tell the headliners, "Go, where do you live? Take a cab. What are you, an animal? For God's sake, I got a car. Let me drive you home." So they would call up and go, "Send Adam." Because they're not paying for a cab home. I was responsible. I was on time. The car was clean.
You love to
So
drive.
were you chauffeuring around big shots?
Patty Rossborough liked me, and Patty, she was doing a lot of colleges. So she felt safe with me, and she was a female traveling alone, so I would pick up Patty. So I was Patty's opening act for a while.
Plus, I mean, your car was turbocharged.
Yes. I don't think they really gave a shit. And they couldn't drive it without me because it was a stick.
Oh, yeah.
Are you mostly
you
an
need me?
Are you mostly an American car guy? Is that what you like?
Yeah,
the most,
I mean,
or-
I do. I actually met the Wheeler Dealer guys came down to see me do stand-up, and they had a 73 Alpha that I thought was
JTV or
friggin'
something?
beautiful. Yeah. And I was talking to him about it, but pretty much just old American car. I mean,
Do you have a collection?
no, I don't have the cash or the room.
So what would you?
He has
when
one car
you do
that
have
takes
the
up the
cash?
space
Yeah.
of 4
When
cars.
he
That's true.
has
when he has
cash, when
cash,
you have the
first
cash,
thing I'm going to get.
What are you going to get? I want to know.
A
what you want.
'57 Starfire Oldsmobile, because that was the car of my father's youth. That's the one he built. That's the picture I have on the wall. A J2 Continental kit. That thing was 6 feet with the Continental kit from the back of the rear tire to the end of the kit. My mother used to parallel park it in
Diving
Queens
board off
and knock garbage cans off of 121st Avenue. She took her driving test in it.
Oh, my God.
And the guy and the ignition's up on the dash, and my mother had to reach up to turn the ignition on. And she passed the test in that car.
Now you've got
That's
a
the
lot of
first
dad
car.
history. What
Yeah.
about you now? You're fourth for your kids. For
me,
what are you going to buy that's going to add to this?
68 390 Fastback, the bullet car, Highland Green.
Oh,
I
yeah.
get that one for me.
Ooh. That would
I
be
will
nice.
get the Grand National. I love.
Didn't they just find the original one in Mexico?
Mexico, they
Yeah,
found
they
it with the
found
VIN
it,
numbers.
yeah. Yeah, let's get that one.
So I bang up my shoulder. I flip over, and I can't drive. So I got a 3rd degree AC separation. And history and BBC they're very compassionate. We don't care.
Yeah.
You're shooting 2 more. So I'm in a sling.
They have a great health fund too.
Yeah.
The
So
second you
the
sign
gag
up
was
for
we
the
get
show.
a stunt driver to drive for me, and we find the oldest stunt driver we can drive, who can drive, and it's this guy Mickey, who knew Steve McQueen, who drove. That's all I had.
There you
That's-
go.
yeah, that was
I
it.
tortured this guy for 3 days, and he ended up.
And what did he tell you about Steve McQueen?
Just how he was just telling me stories about he was a quiet guy. He was real like Porsche, but he had this Jaguar that
XKSS.
The 56, the one he raced in
Yeah.
Le Mans. They
The
made
one
a streak.
that's
It's
at
at the
the
Peterson.
Peterson. Yeah.
He told me about the car,
Yeah.
and Steve was telling him about
they
the car.
owe me a
it's there.
drive in that car.
Yeah.
They look
I
it's electric
gorgeous.
drivers.
I set up a photo shoot with that car in Steve McQueen's old driveway in Brentwood in exchange for a drive. And when they
And?
brought the car up that day, they said the transmission was funky.
Yeah.
But I know
Transmission's always a little
Leno
funky.
drove it. Leno drove it in his show, and I know he had to pay $60,000 for insurance for one day.
For a premium?
$60,000 because the car is that valuable.
$20 million.
Now that
20 or
made,
30
I'm
million.
sorry, in my head, I just went back. They took the '66 GT40 out of the museum. I drove it on the show.
Ooh.
Right.
How good was that?
8 feet, but I drove
Oh.
it. Yeah. So it's right-hand drive. You got to turn on the oil pump. You got to
Yeah.
turn the power on, and it's the 350 right behind the 4 barrels right here. And I start it up, and it catches on fire. I'm like, boys, it's on fire. And they're like,
Yeah, that is.
It does that.
So I'm sitting in this car, right? And this is the car. This is the model I had as a kid. And I'm sitting in the car, and they're like, I've never driven it before. And they said, okay, you're going to drive it past the camera, which is 8 feet. It's right-hand drive, so I put it in, and the clutch doesn't catch till like all the way up
Super
here.
high clutch
so the
pickup,
clutch is
yeah.
all the way up here. So my knees in my chin, and I'm driving. I'm like, oh my god! I drive it past, terrified. Drive it past the camera. Cut. Shut it down. The guy comes over like,
You did good. Most people stole it.
and that was it. All right, get out.
Let's get back to McQueen. Do you remember any Choice McQueen anecdotes?
I remember the what he was telling me about how quiet he was, and he was a lunatic behind the wheel.
Yeah.
And when he did he goes, he hated the fact that all the hubcaps flew off. He's like, how many hubcaps are flying off in this friggin' in the bullet
bullet
chase?
car,
Yeah,
yeah.
in the bullet
There were a
case.
bunch of bullet cars, right? They
Yeah, there
would
was
land that
3,
jump and they would
from
break.
From what
They
he
would
said,
all
there was 3.
bust.
What Mickey told me was there's one in Santa Barbara where he is.
Wow.
He said some guy's got one in the garage up there. I think there were 3. There was the Hero car, and then there was the one they found in Mexico.
Right.
But he told me there were 3. And then he told me this other story that stuck with me. He was one of the guys at the end of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid that did the jump.
Oh, really?
Yeah, George Roy Hill. He did because he was a stuntman.
Wow.
So there was on location, and George Roy Hill couldn't go to the edge because he's scared of heights. So he sends Mickey out there. He goes, "I want you to jump there," and he goes, "Okay, listen, come here." And George is really scared. He goes, "You see those white things down there? Those are rocks. We can't do it here." So they did it in the studio, and they painted a piece of glass on the lens because that's the technology they had.
The piece of glass.
They
Oh, my
painted it on
God.
the ledge. He goes, I jumped about 150 feet into this little water, and we put air into it so we looked like a roiling
Right.
water. And
Yeah.
He goes, and what happened? He goes, I screwed up my back a little bit. He goes, and I said, and then what happened? He goes, George wanted another take. And what'd you do? I said, well, I'll have to charge you. He said, I know, I need another one. I go, so then what'd you do, Mickey? He goes, I jumped again. I put my kid through school. That was it.
Wow.
And there you go.
So, and every time I see, but he was the sweetest man. He lives up in Santa Barbara. I made him drive this old C4 Corvette. This poor bastard has to drive this piece of shit. That I forget what the modification. Oh, I had flames shooting out the back. I forget why.
Flamethrowers are fun.
Why not have that?
Because who doesn't like
I put flames shooting out. We had to make our own RVs. This was one of my favorite episodes. And I had flame shooting. It was a 72 Buick Centurion convertible. And I put the Flatiron building on it because I wanted to bring a piece of home with me. So I was driving around. And Max Pappas pit maneuvered me in a real RV, and I flipped over. And that was my opening shot for the 2nd or 3rd season. But I remember I had flames shooting out the back so we could cook. So the 3 of us would I would
Wow.
bring in the car. So it was the
what, propane tank?
yeah, it was a propane, and it shot out of the back.
How
exhaust.
many seasons do you guys end up doing?
We
7?
ended up doing 6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good
so
run.
at the end of 6, they say they're not going to pick the show up. But
They
then,
said that at the end of 5, and then we got a call like, "All right, we want you back."
well, here's what I had a hard trouble understanding because I watched the show. It's
Yeah.
moving back to BBC. BBC owns the show, but then they announced there's a new cast. Like they're not
Yeah.
taking any of you guys with them. Was it ever a discussion to
I
have you guys?
think, and I don't know this for a fact, but I think the brand was
Because
in turmoil.
you guys are the show.
Yeah, well,
at
it was,
that point.
we're at that point. Our energy, our collective, whatever our chemistry, and whatever the Top Gear meant to us, we were satisfied that we duplicated.
Right.
We gave you the camaraderie, we gave you the danger, we gave you the adventure, and that's what we set out to do.
So when they say they're moving, is this moment of
what I
excitement
think
for
happened,
you?
Spike,
And then
was when Clarkson left and those guys left. They were scrambling and had to reinvent the brand. I think there was an intellectual property or something because I don't know who owned what, but that's why they wanted more guys on the original Top Gear. That's why there was
Right.
5 hosts and they were moving stuff around because they didn't know how they wanted
Right.
it.
Like they were just
They
like
probably
gonna
didn't want to
throw-
be holding.
But
to
they
3
never
guys.
called
They
you
were
up
gonna throw
and-
some shit at the wall and see what stuck.
And I think we got caught in the gears of, we got to do this, and we want it all to match for international sales. Like I said, I don't know. All I know is the 2 of us looked
because
at each
it
other
couldn't.
and said,
You
"We gotta
guys
have-
could,
we're on our own, boys."
but I still don't understand why couldn't you guys go do the BBC show?
I'm sure some English suit somewhere said,
Let's go in another direction.
Or
and-
someone
and-
said, we could probably recast this for a third.
So
of the
does
money.
that?
Yeah,
Did that?
if it's going to be on BBC America, I'm sure, and they're not. It's not a co-production anymore. I'm sure.
Did that piss you off?
It's showbiz. You can't take this shit personally.
I take it personally.
So do I.
I'm pissed
I'm
off.
not saying I figured it out. I'm
take it
saying
super
I know
personally.
what to do, but you can't. But if you take it too personally, you're drinking in
All right,
the morning.
well, listen, I'm on Instagram the other day smoking a cigar in my backyard. A nice Hoyo, a nice Cuban cigar. And I'm looking down and I see Rutledge. I follow Rutledge there on the Instagram. And he says, he's got a picture of the three of you guys here.
Yeah.
It says, missing my boys today, but have no fear. We are working hard on something awesome for you.
We are, yeah.
And we will
doing
be
a thing?
back. USA, USA, USA.
Do the thing.
What does that mean?
We got a thing.
What is your thing?
Look,
what
the
can
three
you tell
of
us?
us still love each other and want to work together. So we
Right.
were talking about it for a while. And now there's people in suits talking about it.
Really?
So?
How can I get in on this?
Put on a suit. Don't say cock.
Or
Don't
if you're
say
Rutledge,
cock.
put on a flannel.
I'm so sorry.
know I have a
that was a
production
little
company
louder
now.
than I thought, and we're at a restaurant.
Do you already have a production company?
Yes.
God damn it, Matt Farah.
You're
I'm
you're
always
behind
too late.
again.
Here was an idea just sitting there out in the wild. These three guys,
Three
the
idiots.
Beatles, reunited.
Yeah.
So
Right,
how
it was
long?
this-
How long
it's
are we going to
literally
have to
the
wait
sweetest
to
person I
hear
ever met.
about this for real?
If I had something concrete to tell you, I'd tell you as soon as I can. Clock's running. But
Well,
you know,
that's
right now
that's
it's,
concrete. It's if he's out there on Instagram writing about it.
Yeah, it's like it's something to talk about, and the nice response that we got of the people that still want to see us, and
No, it's
and
exciting.
the fun that we had, and the nice thing about doing a show like that is the people you meet, and once you open a hood, you just get a bunch of guys looking around and humming. You know,
Well, as we've just seen
What
with
if Amazon gives them a Grand Tour America license?
great.
What does that be?
well, the one
Great.
the
That
one
would be
thing
the
that Jeremy, I was just going to
logical
say, Jeremy
extension of
Clarkson
that.
has proven is the guys are the show.
we got a great email.
The guys are the
we
show.
got a great email from season 1. We got a great email from Jeremy. And James May wrote a nice article about us breaking our balls that we liked, and we actually met Hammond, who was very sweet. We flew to London to do this
Poor
press
bastard
thing.
like a
with that
nice
car
guy.
crash.
I know.
That was a brutal one.
I
I
know.
was supposed to review that car a week after he crashed it. There's only one.
So you
He had
didn't?
flights booked to Croatia.
Not
We had the whole
anymore.
thing going on.
Oh, God.
What
Yeah.
went wrong in your
Oh, he
opinion,
went-
Matt Farah?
I don't need my opinion. We just spoke with the people at Rimatz. It's pronounced Rimatz.
Okay.
And the telemetry from that car is he was going way too fast.
So he was just going too fast for that
You
turn.
know how it is. Guys who race. You ever done any racing?
I know
don't-
just enough to get me killed.
just enough to know that if you are combining television with actual racing,
Yeah.
such as a hill climb,
Right.
and someone goes, it's the end of the day, and someone says, I'm just going
One-
to take one more run.
Yep.
It's the, I'm gonna,
Iceland, baby. I almost died in a truck.
yeah. Anytime someone just is going to
Yeah.
have one more run.
That's it.
Preach, Farrah.
Yeah.
Preach,
It's-
baby.
and that we saw the telemetry from his car.
Tell it on the mountain telemetry.
He tried to take a corner at an unbelievable speed.
It's unreal.
You know,
it is
and
unreal
it
and
just,
scary.
It was too much. It was too much
Yeah.
speed. It
And
happens,
he rolled
man.
down a hill. Did they get him out before the car caught fire?
He got himself out,
He
and
got
then the
himself
car
out.
caught fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it looked way gnarlier than it. I mean, he sailed that thing off a cliff.
How old a guy is he?
Late 40s. Late
He's
40s, I think.
older. I can't be older
know.
than
I don't know
him.
if he's 50 yet, but he's late. It's late
Wow.
40s at least.
Well,
He was
but-
in the Monkees, the original Monkees TV show, wasn't he? Wasn't he that,
That was
little?
him.
No, that's
he
not
seems
him.
fun.
He's
all
a
tho-
sweet
all those
man.
guys seem great.
So we were sitting at the press event, and he's got two of my favorite cars. He's got a '61 E-Type,
Good call.
and he's got the bullet car, but he's got it painted. It's blue with white deck stripes. I go, you got to change it to Highland Green. He goes, I know, I know.
Hey, hey,
So
we're
here's
the
the thing.
Monkees. I'm going to pay him to sing that
So
song.
we're just bullshit, with cars and everything. And Andy Willman was there. It was a nice event. It was just me and him sitting at the table, and all the chaos was around him because for some reason he wasn't drinking and I wasn't drinking for some reason.
For some reason.
For some reason, well, the judge thought it was a good idea. No, I think I was sick, so I was on antibiotics. So we're just sitting there talking, and he's like, "Well, send me your stand." I said, "Okay, you got an office address?" What? He goes, "Nah, send it to my house." And he gives me the address. It's blah 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 Castle.
Yeah.
And I call my wife home. I said, "Listen, have the office send out a DVD to Hammond, and I'll write a note." And I'll say, "I got to look up this address, blah 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 Castle."
Can we Google
And he
Street?
went, and she's like, "It's a castle."
It's
I went, drawbridge, moat, kind of castle shit?
Yeah.
Or Castle Lane? Nope, castle.
He lives in the middle of nowhere and like helicopters to work.
He's got a helicopter too.
Yeah.
He was telling me.
Yeah, he flies himself. It's like his
So
hobby.
then
Brings
it's-
helicopters to work.
Great.
so there. That's what
All
you're.
these
That,
guys in the UK, they live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, Clarkson has a lighthouse in
He
Scotland.
lives on the Isle of Man or something. I
Something,
think.
yeah.
Fucking lighthouse.
they're making
Even,
money.
Chris Harris, my friend, who's now on the current
Sure.
iteration of Top Gear. lives on the border of England and Wales in a house that was like a convent in the 1300s,
Dude.
and his living room was like where the cows were kept.
How do you masturbate in that house comfortably?
Well, if there are cows there, pretty easily.
Very cold. in
Adam,
that house, actually.
Cows.
I think
Cows and
Old as
nuns.
fuck and huge.
I've got to wrap things up here, but
sorry.
Adam,
Yes.
I want you to make that money. I think
So
we
do
all
I.
agree
We all need a castle.
that this show with these guys, if you've got something planned, you guys are the show.
Thank
and I
you.
wish you only the best.
That's
Matt
very
Farah,
kind of you. Thank you.
Thank you
Nice to
for
see
hanging
you
out
again, my
today.
friend.
But
You as well, Adam.
you have some stand-up dates you wanted to tell
They're
everybody
all
about?
on Twitter at AdamFerrara.com. I am Adam Ferrara on Twitter and Facebook. Come by, say hello, come see me.
And what are you promoting, Matt Farah?
Drive on NBC Sports Season 4 begins airing in September. I'm about to fly to Iceland on Saturday to do a lap of Iceland in the 570 GT McLaren.
Good for you.
Tough
Oh, my
life.
God.
I was in an old Chevy pickup, non-turbo diesel, hauling fuel across it with those other two idiots in front of me. And when you said, just one more, we went up, and I went through the cab. The front of the car went down, and the lights are on, so I can see this cab. And I'm fumbling like this, trying to get the radio. And our guide is there, and Tanner's listening on the radio because he's on the same channel.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, come get me out of here! I'm going down. And the Icelander goes,
We have to. Oh, bring the tow ropes. It's not an emergency.
and I'm like, not an emergency, not an emergency.
They're hard
I'm going to
arrows.
die in this friggin' glacier. Get me out of here, you fish-eating fucks! I was screaming.
And there you have it. And you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter on @SpikeFirst. And see you next week on Spike's Car Radio.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio. Download new episodes every Wednesday on the Podcast One app or subscribe now at Apple Podcasts or PodcastOne.com.
Shopify helps you sell at every stage of your business. Like that, let's put it online and see what happens stage.
And the site is live.
That we opened a store and need a fast checkout stage.
Thanks. You're all set.
That count it up and ship it around the globe stage.
This one's going to Thailand.
And that, wait, did we just hit 1 million orders stage? Whatever your stage, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/listen.